My name is Andy, and today we are back on the channel with another race review, this time doing it live rather than pre-recorded because of the time that the race is finished here in the UK. It's now about 9:30, and embarrassingly this is actually my second attempt because the microphone didn't work the first time, so fix that technical issue hopefully, so all good there. So yeah, if you've not watched the race and you don't want to know what's happened, you may wish to come back later. I obviously want you to come back, of course. But before we start, thank you very much for watching, whether this be live or whether you're watching this after the recording. If you do like what you're watching, do hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon as well so you don't miss out on any videos from myself. Hit the like button as well, and also comment below, and if you do comment during the live stream I will try and respond where possible, if I can do. But first of all, the build up to the race. So Canada's always usually quite a good race, it's usually quite exciting, so I was looking forward to this race very much. And the build up, a lot of different upgrades happening. Mercedes actually had to postpone an engine upgrade right at the last minute on the Wednesday evening before flying to Montreal, which meant that Bottas, Hamilton and all the other, the Force India cars as well, they had to run with the old engines, so not ideal for them. Meant they were running on the 7th engine. Renault brought upgraded power units, Ferrari had some upgrades as well, but one of the talking points before the race weekend was Toro Rosso had requested that McLaren about the availability of their young driver and Formula 2 star Lando Norris. The Brit who's been doing pretty well in F2 so far, got himself a win in the season opener in Bahrain, but McLaren refused the request. Now it's believed to be for to replace Brendan Hartley, who's been having a bit of a tricky time, the New Zealander of recent, so that wouldn't have done his confidence any good going into the weekend. Another bit from the start of the weekend was Max Verstappen in the media conference, where he was asked, why he keeps crashing all the time. He's had a crash every weekend so far, and he basically threatened to headbutt someone if they asked him that question again, so he wasn't too chuffed at that. But he did go out and make a statement in practice sessions, because he topped all three of the practice sessions leading up to the qualifying and race itself, so he did make them eat their words a little bit there, but couldn't quite convert it where it mattered, and we'll come to that in just a moment. Another part from the practice sessions was Romain Grosjean in the Haas getting up close and personal with the wildlife. He actually hit a groundhog going down the back straight, and it obviously not very pretty, and it also ruined the brand new front wing on his Haas car, so that wasn't too great. And then to compound misery further, he leaves the garage for Q1, big plume of smoke, too much through the intercooler, end of qualifying, starting last. Not been a great season for the Frenchman so far, it's clear to say. No points so far. Had that spin round in Spain where he came right across the whole of the track, free grade place grid penalty in Monaco, spun under safety car in Azerbaijan, which was all his own fault, so it's not been great for Roman so far. Into qualifying itself though, and as I say, Verstappen could not convert his practice form into qualifying success, as Sebasitan Vettel in the Ferrari you see on the screen looking supreme with a new track record, 1 minute 10.764, taking the pole position. Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes coming up with second, not far behind. Great lap from the Finnish driver, and he takes up the second spot in the grid. Max took third. It was a good lap to get there in the end, with Hamilton fourth, Raikkonen fifth, and Ricciardo sixth. Poor qualifying from McLaren, they only just scraped into Q2. It wasn't a great weekend for the Woken side. Charles Leclerc though, on the other hand, looking very good. Another Q2 session from the young Monaco driver. I keep going on about him, I'll go on about him later on as well, but there's good reason. Into the race itself though. Now, I'm a big F1 fan. Been watching it as long as I can remember. This race bored me, and it's not often I say that. I'm usually, even in the most uneventful a race, he's able to find something in a race to keep my excitement. This race didn't have much of it, I'm afraid to say. It's a good clean start from everybody. Verstappen on the hypersofts, trying to get past Bottas. Bottas getting the elbows out in the Mercedes, keeping the Dutchman behind, so it was pretty good there. And then we had the crash between Hartley and Lance Stroll in the Williams, coming through the sweeping part at the end of Sector 1. Unsure if Hartley clipped Stroll, which caused the puncture, which caused Stroll to get a snappy oversteer and end up collecting Hartley, or whether it was just oversteer on his own. But either way, he corrected the slide. Hartley was on the outside. Toro Rosso nearly up and over alongside the wall. Very scary looking at first, but both cars came down right side up. Nobody hurt, but it did bring the safety car out then. Stroll out his home Grand Prix, and Hartley on a weekend when they're talking about possibly replacing them, out of the race straight away. And he had looked good as well. He'd had a good qualifying session, good Q2. He was actually in the top 10 Q2 at one point until just before the end, so not what the New Zealander needs at all. The safety car stayed out until lap 5 and everybody carried on. It was Vettel, it was pretty much grid order: Vettel, Bottas, Verstappen, Hamilton, Raikkonen, Ricciardo and Raikkonen, so no real changes there. Sergio Perez tried to go around the outside of Carlos Sainz going into turn 1 on a restart, and there was a little bit of contact, sent the Force India spinning. It's good control from the Mexican, didn't collect anyone, but that ruined his race, put him right down the field. He came in for an early stop, ended up 2-stopping. We'll come back to that as well when we go through the team reviews. Now, the first of the lead cars to pit were Verstappen and Hamilton. First in on lap 17, Verstappen getting rid of those hypersofts, Hamilton on the ultrasofts, and they both went onto the red supersoft tyres. Both came out. Hamilton nearly crashing on his way out. He just got it sideways coming out of pit exit, nearly locked it up, nearly got it sideways, but controlled it. That released Ricciardo, who had been behind them, and a couple of blistering sectors on his way into the pits, and a cracking pit stop from the Red Bull team meant that Ricciardo actually jumped Hamilton at the pit stops, and that put him up into what would be a net 4th position by the end of all the pit stop cycles. For Vettel, Bottas and Raikkonen, we did not see any of them pit until after lap 30 odd. So Raikkonen was the first on lap 33. He was already looking like he was going to be well behind everybody. Even though he was in third at the time, he came out 6th, and he doesn't seem to have the speed that Vettel can find in that car, so something not up there. Bottas came in on lap 36. He was able to stay second, so far ahead with the front two. Vettel covered him off the next lap, and he rejoined as well. But do need to say though, Vettel and those ultrasofts, those were the ultrasofts that done Q2, the fastest lap in Q2. 39 laps in total that Ferrari did on those tyres, and even at the end of his stint before he pitted, he was still setting, at the time, race fastest laps. So brilliant pace from the German there. Moving on, the next thing that happened was on lap 42, and not what we wanted to see on his 300th Grand Prix. It was Fernando Alonso and a McLaren retirement. Turned out it was an exhaust failure. It was his 300th Grand Prix, as I say, and that's not how he wanted to celebrate it. It was a poor weekend from McLaren as a whole. Van Dorn, I like Van Dorn as a driver, but he was nowhere this weekend, off the pace all the way through. And Alonso out on lap 42. He'll be hoping that the Toyota has better reliability at Le Mans for the 24 hours next weekend, but when you consider the Toyota Hoodoo, I wouldn't hold my breath on that one just now. Grosjean had started last, along with Gasly. He started in the back row, and Grosjean managed to take ultra-soft tyres to lap 49, just staying out as long as possible. He was probably praying for another safety car of some description. It wasn't to be coming, so it didn't happen. But if lap 49 he made those tyres go to, nearly crashed into Ocon though, as he came into pit lane. But that was just because of, obviously, you don't need to brake as early coming into the pits as you do going through the final chicane, so that nearly caught him out there, but he got away with that. Now, towards the last part of the race, last sort of 20 laps, so Bottas started catching Vettel as they were both in traffic, and I was thinking, here we go, finally, bit of excitement coming on. He got from about 6 odd seconds behind to win about 4 seconds, and then coming up to turn 1 on lap, I think it was lap 55, trying to pass Carlos Sainz. He lapped him, he went past him, missed his braking point, ran wide through turn 1, took him across a bit of the grass in turn 2, and all the time was lost. Sainz got back past him as well, obviously, and he had to repass him, so that held him up a bit. And to rub salt in the wound, Sebastian set the fastest lap of the race at that point as well, so that wasn't too great there. They held status quo to the end. Towards the end, though, we thought Verstappen might catch Bottas, and Hamilton was having a go at Ricciardo, but even with DRS, neither Hamilton or Verstappen could get close enough to get past. The quicker they bring new rules in to get rid of those front wings that have got about 16,000 different elements on them, the better, because this is just getting silly how bad it is to pass. So it all held on to the end. The checkered flag was hilariously waved 1 lap early, but it all stayed 10. So top 10 and the points were Vettel, Bottas and Verstappen taking the podium spots. Ricciardo 4th, he set the fastest lap on the final lap. Hamilton 5th, Raikkonen 6th, Hülkenberg and Sainz 7th and 8th for Renault, and a good weekend for them with an upgraded engine. Ocon in 9th, and Charles Leclerc taking 10th place. He's at it again. Gasly, Grosjean, Perez, Magnussen, Ericsson, Van Dorn and Sorokin rounded out the finishers. DNFs for Alonso, Hartley and Stroll, so only the 3 DNFs from the race this weekend. Driver of the race by the fan vote on F1.com, and my driver of the race as well was Sebasitan Vettel. Every lap, pole position, he was just flawless in that car. The only thing that prevented the Grand Slam was Ricciardo putting in that fastest lap at the last lap, so that was the only thing that stopped him. But it was a perfect weekend, and he retakes the lead in the championship from Hamilton by 1 point. Bottas with that 2nd place moves up on to 86 points, he's now 3rd. Ricciardo 4th and 84, then Raikkonen and Verstappen 5th and 6th. And in the constructors, Mercedes are on 206 points to Ferrari's 189. Red Bull a bit further back on 134, and then it's Renault and McLaren 5th, 4th and 5th. And Sauber starting to catch up to Toro Rosso and Haas in the constructors race. That's over 7th, 8th and 9th. And it's all down to that man Leclerc again, so they're doing very nicely indeed. So quick teams run down from top to bottom. Ferrari, Vettel, we just said flawless, couldn't do anything better. Raikkonen in 6th, disappointing pace. Made a mistake in qualifying, which made the worst mistake of all for him, and just doesn't seem to have the pace that his teammate does. So very strange there that the Finn can't seem to keep up with the 4-time world champ. Mercedes, Hamilton in 5th, looked quick at times. He was hustling that car through some of the corners, but just couldn't hook it together consistently. Bottas, very good result, almost flawless apart from that mistake when passing Sainz. Red Bull 3rd and 4th, good weekend for Verstappen, he kept it out of the wall, no crashes this time, so good there for him. Ricciardo looked quick at times, kept Hamilton at bay, good time, good fast lap on the way into the pits made the difference, but off the pace this weekend. He'll be looking for better in France next time out. Renault, as I say, good weekend, solid result for both, but just shows you the gulf between the top 3 teams and the rest of the field. 1 lap down in 7th and 8th. 1 lap between the top 3 and everyone else. That's how big a gap there is. Force India, we had Ocon 9th. It was a solid race from the Frenchman. Perez finished 13th. That early spin after the restart costing him. He ended up making a 2-stopper. McLaren, as we mentioned, 300th race for Alonso, ended up with an exhaust failure. Van Dorn 16th. I like Van Dorn. Done a 2-stop. He had no pace this weekend. He's just looking lost at the moment, and I do fear for the possibility of his seat at the moment next year, especially with Lando Norris looking so good. Toro Rosso, Gasly in 11th. It was a good result from the Frenchman, started 19th after an engine change. Was closing up to Leclerc, but had to manage a few issues towards the end. Hartley the DNF due to that crash with Stroll. It's another one for him, so it's not looking good for the New Zealander. He could be looking for employment very shortly. Haas team, Grosjean 12th. It was a solid drive, 50 laps nearly on those ultra softs for the first stint. Magnussen in 14th. hardly seen him today except when he was getting the lap, so that tells you everything you need to know there. Sauber, Leclerc in 10th. It was another great drive from the Monaco driver. I know I keep harping on about him, but trust me, he's going to be in that red car at some point in the near future. I'm telling you now, he will be a world champion if he's given the right machine. Ericsson 15th, his teammate outpaced once again by Leclerc, and I'm starting to find it harder and harder, apart from money, for Sauber to keep a hold of the Swede. Decent driver, he's just not up to it, I don't think, I'm sorry to say. And Williams, Sirotkin was 17th, I even forgot he was racing. Stroll was out in the first lap at his home Grand Prix. That Williams, for better piece of the word, looks shit. There's been so many changes in personnel. Something is not right at the former world champions. I said it at the start of the season. It does not look good there. It looks very bleak indeed, and I do worry for one of my favourite teams in the grid. But we shall see. But that is it for the race review for this week. Bit different doing the live stream due to the late finish here in the UK. Once again, if you have enjoyed watching and listening to my thoughts, do hit the like button, subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications, and do comment below about what your thoughts of the race are. Also, what would you do to make things better? Do you think these changes to the regulations for next year are going to make a difference? Tell me what you think below. The next race is in 2 weeks' time. It's the start of a triple header with the French Grand Prix, Austrian and British Grand Prix back to back in 2 weeks' time. So we will be back for that. Next week is of course the Le Mans 24-hour race. Alonso going for his part of the Triple Crown with Toyota. Jenson Button racing in the LMP2 category as well. So there's a good free bit of F1 interest there. Won't be doing any sort of race review for that because 24 hours is just going to kill me, but I will be putting up another part from the Andy Races series with a wee bit of history behind Le Mans, so look out for that around about maybe Friday, Saturday, before the race goes live and goes ahead around about 2-3 o'clock UK time, so look out for that. And obviously, as I say, thank you very much for watching as always. Until the next review video, or until the next video overall, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Ta-ra.